Ever walked into the room and suddenly you felt totally off and you weren't upset before, you were not sick, you're not, nothing major happened, and all of a sudden your mood changes. Your focus is just gone and you feel distracted or you feel tired or you feel kind of antsy and you can't settle in, and you were just fine before that, and all of a sudden now you're not. Guess what? You're not alone, and you're not lazy, and you're not lacking discipline, you're not broken. But here's the truth: your energy might be dipping and your mental fog might not be at its best, not because of your schedule, not because of willpower or caffeine intake. It might be because of your environment. And that's because our brain is constantly taking everything in around us, and even if you're not paying attention, it does it. And any clutter, any noise, like appliances maybe humming or making some noise, overhead lights like the fluorescent lights, I do not like at all. And your brain is constantly scanning that, evaluating and reacting. And when it picks up all of those inputs, it might feel overwhelmed, it might be an overload, and it will affect you, and it will shift your focus, and it will shift you out of your flow and into survival mode. And your nervous system, once it's in survival mode, it has to conserve energy, and that makes you feel more drained, more foggy, more tired. But here's the trick: you can change that. You can change your environment to suit yourself the best, that to feel actually relaxed, feel just comfortable and more focused and more energized and more productive immediately. Welcome. I'm Heike Fallon. I'm a personal high performance coach and a sports therapist, neurosports therapist, and I help my clients sustain long term with a brain-based approach. So in this video, I will go through exactly what happens and how you can detect what's maybe influencing you in your environment and how to fix it. So let's dive into the science first, because if you understand a little bit how the brain functions, it actually helps a little bit. So your brain isn't just where the thinking is happening. It's where it's scanning. Like I said, it's constantly with the eyes and ears and smell and any movement you're doing, temperature, and even how the light reflects off walls, depending on what walls colors it is. It constantly scans, and it's going to decide, am I safe? Can I focus here? And here's the interesting part: 80% of your processing of these inputs is actually subconscious. So it means you're not really aware of it, but your nervous system is. So when your brain senses any disorganization, harsh lights, like I said, the overhead lights, or any kind of noise, or even clutter from others, and tension, even the energy from other people, right? It picks it up, because that's due to the mirror neurons we have. We pick up the how other people are feeling and how they are projecting into the world. We pick that up because we have what's called mirror neurons. Now, if you can already tell, it's totally different for every person, right? Nobody is alike. We're all different. We all have a different brain, different history. So some people may feel more foggy or fatigued. Other people feel more restless or irritable, tightness. Some people might just feel their tight shoulders, chest, jaws get tight. Some people may feel more anxious. And the classic is, I should be working, but I can't. And it's not the brain is malfunctioning, it's just reacting to the environment, reacting to if it feels safe or unsafe, if it's overstimulated or the right amount. So for example, I worked with a client once, a really high performing executive, and she was incredible. She had her morning routine down. She did breath work, she did journaling, always hydrated well, moved well. So she did her exercising, but by 10 o'clock, she usually hit a wall in the morning, 10 o'clock. And it turns out it was really her workspace, because she had all these papers laying around. It was a mess on her desk. And every time she was in there, she just felt so tense, and there wasn't enough light. So what we did is just had her clean up. First, clean up the space, get it more structured, more organized, and she immediately felt better right after cleaning up. But also then after that, she was able to actually stay more focused, be productive, just from maintaining a clean desk and a clean environment. So that's really remarkable how with a little change you can have a huge impact. So again, the question isn't so much what am I doing wrong? The question is more like, what is my environment doing to my nervous system? And so you want to kind of evaluate your environment. So let's talk about the most common environmental energy drainers. So the first one I already said is definitely clutter, right? Like if it's a mess in the room, it's a challenge. I usually have always one room that is cleaned up, so that when I need a break, I actually would go down there. That used to be when my kids were little. It was a toy-free zone, because I needed one room that I could go in and just be immediately relaxing. So again, your visual system picks up on it. And when your space is cluttered and messy and disorganized, it's so much harder to work. And it's just so busy in taking in information that it's very difficult. And the other thing is, if you think of it, clutter in the environment is basically a visual overload, and that's basically more energy draining. The other thing is light. As I mentioned, I cannot stand the fluorescent overhead lights. It really affects me. So if I'm at a conference room, that really impacts me. So I wear yellow glasses, for example, because I can't change the lighting there, right? But in your house, or depending on what your office situation is, you might have a chance to influence your lighting. If you have, obviously in certain office spaces you don't, but you want to make sure that, because of the computer screen, it has also the blue light. That's a huge impact. So you want to make sure you take breaks throughout the day from screen time, because of that constant blue light that comes in. You can also adjust a little bit your screen to filter out the blue light a little bit, but also definitely in the evening, you want to stay away from blue light, because it impacts your sleep. Also, what's really cool to know is that during the day, overhead light is fine, because it actually helps you to stay more alert. In the evening, you want to go more for like the lower light sources, so like a desk lamp or something like that, because it helps your system to actually calm down. So you want to choose your lighting depending on what your tasks are and the time of day it is. And you can absolutely change light bulbs. So there's different light bulbs with warmer kind of light and cooler kind of light. So it usually says it right there on the package. So choose the lighting that's right for you. Try it out, test it out, see how you feel. That is the best way to assess the situation. Next one is noise. Pay attention if noise impacts you. You may have not noticed it, but usually you notice it when you're in an environment where it's really quiet. And that's how I found out how much noise irritates me, is by being in an area where there's no noise, like on a vacation or visiting somebody else. And I'm like, wow, it's so quiet here. And when you notice that, and then you realize you can focus better. And at times though, some noise is good. Some people need a little background noise. Again, we're not all the same. You got to figure out what works for you. I sometimes do certain tasks with actually music running. There's definitely research too that if music is running, that could help your productivity, but not everybody's the same. So you got to pay attention and see how that is. Another one that impacts for sure our brain and our body is air quality and temperature. So you may have noticed that if it's super hot and stuffy, it's kind of hard to concentrate, and it just takes so much more energy. And CO2 levels matter. So if you've been in the mountains, in the altitude, and you might find that you're not able to sustain productivity as long, because you first have to acclimate to that elevation. So you might feel a little more foggy or tired. So that's just biology, right? So oftentimes the cooler and fresher the air, the better we can think and sharper we feel. But for some people, if like an air condition is constantly running, it might not be the greatest thing. So again, figure out what works for you. Another one that's super important is people, right? People around us can drain us depending on what mood they have, what energy they have. Again, we have those what's called mirror neurons, and that we do pick up and mirror other people. And it's just certain people bring energy in the room, and that can be good, and at certain times that may not be good, and other times it feels good to be surrounded with people that are more calmer and have a more lower energy. But again, you have to figure out what works you. The key is everything impacts your nervous system, and that's from clutter to noise. And the question is, what drains you and what environment is most draining to you, and how do you feel? So ask yourself, for example, with people, who am I surrounding myself with all day, right? What emotional energies in the space I spend most of my time, right? So is it your house? Is it at work? And do I feel more calm? And does it feel welcoming? Especially colors can have an impact there. And then don't judge it or, overly, just pay attention. Create that awareness, because when you check in with yourself and see how you feel, that's when you can make shifts and changes. Let's be a little more practical now. So you don't need to like totally renovate your house, right? You don't need to go all out. All you do is small little tweaks and see how you feel and how your body feels more energized. So here's a couple things. So number one, decluttering for sure. Start with one area, just pick one room or one area. Just start with your countertop or something like that, and declutter. Or start with a desk or a nightstand, just little by little. Remove. You can also say, I remove 3 to 5 things and that you don't need, and just that itself makes you feel more in control. It helps to create a little bit more that visual relief and reduces your internal tension. So bonus tip, do it on a daily basis. Do always little by little, but that can help to maintain it once you got that, right? The second thing that you can absolutely do is more peripheral vision, because that calms your nervous system down. So sometimes you may not be able to change your environment, but you could actually, look outside the window into nature, and that can help calm your nervous system down. And at the same time, you do some good breathing and kind of get away from the inside vision and kind of expand it a little bit more. And just take 20 seconds to look outside to more distance. Again, also, if you can't go in nature, you can bring like natural things inside. That could be plants, right? And it doesn't have to be real plants. It can be fake plants. The brain doesn't know the difference. You can hang up a picture of a beautiful landscape, with a waterfall or whatever you like. If it's the ocean, if it's the mountains. So you can hang pictures, and just looking at the photos, your brain actually will feel better already. So that might be something for you. Again, I mentioned already, adjust your lighting. You might put different light bulbs in. Change, if you can, to more natural light. So if you can sit near a window, if you have a chance, that's always great. Just getting more natural light in. And if you can't, you can always step outside and see if that helps. And as I mentioned too before, put like the blocking the blue light on the computer can help, especially, and the phone as well, especially in the evenings. Again, also mentioned before, you might add some smell and scent. That can be helpful as well. So usually peppermint is more for alert if you run a diffuser. Lavender is known to calming the nervous system, and citrus can be more uplifting. Last but not least, movement. Movement is always great. So even if you can't change the environment, you can change how you feel by moving. So you can do some squats. You can do just kind of cross, elbow touching knees. lots of different exercise that can be done, and that can actually help to change your internal state, even though you can't change the external environment. So changing the internal state can also make you feel better in that moment and can help that as well. Your environment is either helping your nervous system regulate or it's quietly draining it. And it's either adding to your stress bucket or it's giving you more capacity. And when your nervous system is supported, everything changes. You think clearer, you recover faster, you sleep better, you move throughout the day with more energy, creativity, more calm. And so today, pick one thing, like one zone that you're going to declutter, or start the diffuser that may have been like dusting in the corner, or switch out one light bulb in your house. Do 1 minute of a reset for your body. It's not about perfection. It's really about the process of making your environment best suited for you. And it does take a little time because you need to first gain that awareness, first embrace and see how you feel, and how different environment actually impact you, your body and your brain. And so comment below what has impacted you in your environment and how you've changed it. So let's share more examples because we can learn from each other. So I would love to hear what you have done and how you feel in certain environments, how it's impacting you, and what tricks you use to make the change so that you are more energized and you're not constantly feeling depleted. So until next time, keep moving, stay curious, and I will see you in the next one.